Alright, we're recording. So now we'll probably put this on YouTube with Japanese subtitles, right? So could you tell us who you are, please?
My name is Robert Equsquiza. We own Whole Hog Farm in Washington State.
Alright. How long have you been raising pigs?
3.5 years now.
Since when did you start feeding fodder?
About 20 months ago.
Alright. What species of pig?
Berkshire Duroc, Yorkshire crosses.
What were you feeding before fodder?
Dry ration, grain. We were an all GMO farm, all GMO free farm. We didn't feed any corn. We fed all grains, but we mixed a ration at the farm, and it was a good feed. But we wanted something. We were lacking herd health, so we wanted to do something that.
Can you describe the herd health problems?
We had a lot of pneumonia. Pneumonia being the number one, and our sows had a lot of cracking hooves where their feet would crack, and you could lose a very capable sow very quickly to an infection in the foot.
Are those pigs kept on concrete all the time? Or?
No, they're pasture pigs. They're on concrete very little.
Alright. When the sows farrow, give birth, what sort of environment do they go into?
We use a Swedish style of farrowing. We don't use crates. We use a blockade with a heat lamp. It's on concrete floor. But we don't like putting our sows into confinement for that period of time that people typically farrow. It's very damaging to the sows. Right.
What's the climate like at your place?
Oh, we have lows as low as 25 below 0 Fahrenheit, and as high as 105 above Fahrenheit.
You got a lot of snow?
Absolutely.
What do you do with the pigs that are confined during that time?
No, they have small structures throughout their pastures, little paddocks that they can go into for structure protection. And then we measure the mass of pig per the pen and determine how many pigs will fit in that structure, because we're using their heat along with bedding material to keep them warm.
Alright. You said you were feeding grains. Can you describe the grain?
We were using red wheat, white soft wheat, and barley blend, and then we used a lot of camelina for protein, and that is a brassica. Camelina is used for an oil seed, and we used the meal that was a byproduct from that oil seed.
Alright, so your health problems you had, mainly pneumonia. When you switched to fodder, what effect did you see?
Within 3 months of changing to fodder, I believe it took about 3 months for the pneumonia that we had for us to cycle out of the pigs that had had it and everything, and we haven't had a case of pneumonia since.
So no pneumonia on fodder?
None. Zero.
Why do you think that is?
Just all around better health, because along with it, we don't have any cracking hooves. So
it's the nutrition value?
I'd imagine it's how the animal can process the nutrition that it's getting more effectively. Therefore, the pigs are healthier, and just having a better herd health keeps those pigs in a better condition. So they're never in a low enough immune state that the ammonia has the opportunity to take hold.
Do you see any change in fertility?
I don't know that I've seen better litter sizes, but I can say that I haven't lost as many weaner pigs. Once they're born, we have a higher retention rate. So, be that the mother has better milk because she's eating better, and that keeps the pigs, even the runts. Typically we would lose the runt of the litter, and what we've experienced is even the runt is getting enough that he's not lost.
Did you do any milk analysis?
We're working on that right now.
Growth speed, any change?
We picked up probably a month. We were, on our dry ration, we were about 8 months to slaughter, from farrow to slaughter. We're getting it done now in 6.5 to 7 months, being typically the cut boars are the barrows, if you will. They're the first to finish right about that 5 3/4 to 6 weeks. They're ready for slaughter, or months, sorry. And then the gilts, probably 6.5 months on average.
What age do you cut the boars, or cut the farrows?
I cut the boar babies at 7 weeks.
Okay, so what is your ration now?
I use fodder with a slight amount of amino acids. Lysine is a key amino acid for pork production, so we use that, and we're working with a few other things, seeing if we can raise the fat, but right now we're feeding straight fodder, and if we're light on fodder, we may put in some soaked grain, possibly if we're light, but we'd sprout the grain basically in a bucket to increase the digestibility of it as well.
There are some people in the pork industry who believe that you can't raise a pig on grass. How do you respond to that?
They're wrong.
Right.
But I've got 3 years of bank statements that have proven wrong.
Okay, so what body conditions changes did you get?
Just overall better coats on the pigs. They look better. Our pigs have hair. When they're healthy, they've got nice hair. They have nice hair. Like I mentioned before, we didn't have the cracking hooves, so we had less infection. And just all around happier pigs. When I say happier pigs, when they were on our dry ration, occasionally you would see one out there playing, jumping around, going in circles, occasionally. Now, that's pretty much everybody.
That's the norm.
That's the norm.
Okay. Your finished carcass, your conformation of carcass, can you comment on that?
They're leaner back fat overall. We don't meet the U.S. standard for market as far as the USDA. We may have at the very most an inch of fat, but more commonly 3/4 to a half an inch of fat on the back. But we have fat in the meat. So if you will, if you take a commercial pork chop, throw it on the barbecue, and you put one of our pork chops next to it, the commercial one will be a lot drier. And you'll notice that ours is more like I guess what people in this country would relate to a beefsteak, because you can still cut it with a butter knife. It's got the fat through the meat, so the flavor is a lot more intense. Our meat is a lot darker in color. But I think the key to the flavor in our carcasses is the fact that we've gotten fat into the meat now, to where before, even on our dry ration, it was fat on the outside of the animal and none in the meat.
Just talking about the actual security of your farm, like biosecurity, you're pretty strict in keeping your animals quarantined from any outside influence? We
are very conscious of the chronic diarrhea, or PED, if you will.
Did you have any problems with the PED?
We've never had a problem on the farm, but we are constantly researching what's going on in the markets and what's happening. Before it became an issue, we just pretty much put a stop to it and said, okay, no more pigs come onto our farm. We deal with what we have, and we don't allow much for tours due to the fact that people aren't very conscious of what they carry from their property to our property, so we are very cautious of that.
What do your customers say about your products?
We've got about a 3.5 to 4 month lead time right now on our pigs.
As in, that's how long people have to wait?
Yeah, that's how long they have to wait. And to get on that list, they have to give us a 50% deposit. And I've got a number of people that refer to our pork as the best pork they've ever eaten in their life.
Have your products gone into any competitions?
We've got a barbecue competition that we won. A customer of ours called us and asked us for a barbecue pig. We supplied him with a whole pig for barbecue competition. He phoned me back 3 days later and informed me that he won, and for no other reason than the best flavor in the meat that the judges had ever experienced.
Okay, fodder is a raw food when it's a raw feed when it's served to the animals. Do you do any like bacteria controls on it, sterilizing?
None. We do I believe it's 2 parts per million of chlorine in the water to control mold. I don't feed anything that has mold on it because that will affect your fertility rates just significantly.
So are the customers aware you're using chlorine?
Absolutely.
Do they, any concerns?
Nope. The slight amount of chlorine that we use, there's more in our drinking water in cities in the U.S. than what we use in our system.
There's more chlorine in the city water
Mm-hmm.
that people are drinking?
Yes.
Okay.
If I was on city water, I wouldn't even have to use chlorine.
Oh, really?
I could just use tap water.
Oh. Anything else?
How many pigs you?
Oh, yeah. How many pigs do you have?
We do farrow to finish annually, right around 600.
Right.
We're working our numbers up this year, up to 8. We would like to be at 1,600 a year.
1,600.
Yeah.
1,600 pigs.
1,600 pigs a year. That's our target right now.
As in 1,600 pigs processed, sold.
So, yes.
Okay. Is there anything you can think of that we haven't covered?
Not really.
Pretty much it.
I think you've got everything.
Before growing, so any sterilizing of the seed?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, we don't do any sterilizing of the seed. We do try to get as much of the chaff off the seed. You can clean the whole of the seed. When you combine it, it comes in with the seed. We try to get that out of it.
So cleaning chaff and dust.
But if you've got a seed cleaner, just to blow the dust out in the chaff to go with it, then that's it.
Yeah. How old are the pigs when they start eating the fodder?
Oh, they are out of the nest and on fodder within the first 8 days.
Right. So they're eating it with their mother. Can you wean them earlier?
We get them off the mother. Well, once they start eating the fodder, then they begin. They still nurse her. But what we realized was by the 4th week after birth, they were eating more fodder, and she began to dry up. She didn't have as much milk, and by the 5th week going into the 6th week, she literally had no milk. And then we were able, before the 6th week, to pull the babies off, put the weaner pigs in a separate pen, just feed them fodder. We don't go to a starter ration or anything. We don't use a starter feed. We just put them onto fodder because they've pretty much made that decision on their own.
When we fed those pigs before, we saw that they went for the green first, then they'd go back and go eat the roots and the seed. Do you know why that is?
I believe it's because they like the grass primarily, but if you watch them closely, they'll eat 2 or 3 bites of the grass, and then they eat the root, and the root's wet, and the microbial nutrients in the root, and I would say bite for bite, they flavor, I think they prefer the flavor of the grass, but they like the roots too because that's where they're getting their water.
I forgot the question I was going to ask now. Did you see any change in temperament of pigs?
Just happy, just like I said, out turning circles, being playful. A lot more aggressive when we go to feed as far as letting you know that they want it. When we were feeding your dry ration, whenever you got it to them was okay. They didn't really strive to push for it. And now they are very, they make a whining sound, and they're all waiting at the gate to see it come.
Okay, and just finally, can you tell us about the accident that you had?
Oh, about a year, just shy of a year ago, about 11 months ago, I was working with the pigs. I realized I needed to make an adjustment, and I got in the pen to move a feeder and open a vent, and as I turned around, I hit a beam on the top of my head, and it knocked me out cold. And my tractor with the feed is parked right outside the pen at the time, and I was knocked out for 4 hours. The pigs had been eating fodder for a day or so in that pen, and they were more interested in looking at the tractor waiting for that fodder than they were coming and chewing on me. And if it weren't for that tractor being out there, I feel confident that they would have killed me.
So you could say fodder saved your life?
Absolutely. But I did more than that. It saved my farm too. We couldn't have stayed in business at the price point that we were at prior to what we were doing.
So can you tell us about the feed cost savings?
We're probably, I can produce a ton of feed on my farm today for $90. That's 83% digestible. I have no odor. And
what do you mean, no odor?
Well, pigs, when they eat and they digest the majority of the feed, there's nothing left in the feces, the dung, that smells. What smells in pig dung is the rotting grain, the fermenting process of the rotting grain. What comes out of our pigs, their dung is black. Literally within 2 or 3 days, it is unidentifiable. It'll dry and pretty much goes away in the dirt. Thus, because we don't have the grain in it and it's not out there rotting on the ground, the odor is, dramatically less.
So your pig farm doesn't smell like a typical pig farm?
Nope, I serve dinner out there to people all the time, and they're always amazed to find out that there's pigs that close.
Okay. What were the price of your feed ration before using fodder?
We were into it about $4.90 a ton.
Alright. Do you have a figure like how much it costs to raise a pig from farrow to sire?
My total expenses are under $130
per pig.
Per pig.
Okay. Anything Anything else?
Actually, no, let me retract that. My costs are per pig is about $70.
On fodder?
On fodder.
And before that?
$130, $140 minimum.
Before fodder?
Per pig, per head.
Per head, yeah.
Degrees cost.
Yeah, before fodder was $130 per pig.
We harvest our earliest pigs at 180 pounds up to 260 pounds. A 260 pounder would have cost me $1 a pound. Basically, my old ration per production cost me $1 per pound. Now I'm probably 23 cents a pound, I would say, somewhere in there. From finish, when they're finished, they cost me about under 25 cents a pound.
How much fodder do pigs eat?
I would say around 2,800 pounds in their life.
In their life?
No, that's high. Probably closer to 2,000.
Okay. Alright, and how much do they eat on a roughly size? Like give 4 sizes. A wiener.
A wiener pig, you could figure a group of 10 wiener pigs can eat a biscuit in the morning, which would be about 20 pounds of fodder in the morning.